this video, we are going to discuss a very important and evolving topic in the Indian democracy. Reservation for women in legislature.
संविधान संशोधन विधेयक प्रस्तुत कर रहे हैं.
India proudly calls itself. If we look closely at our legislative bodies, we notice a clear balance. Women, who make up nearly half of the population, have historically had much smaller presence in law-making institutions. This raises a fundamental question. Can a democracy truly be representative if half of its population is not adequately represented in the lawmaking? In order to address this issue, India has gradually moved towards the idea of reserving seats for women in legislatures.
इस विधेयक का लक्ष्य लोकसभा और विधानसभाओं में महिलाओं की भागीदारी का विस्तार करना है.
In this video, we'll explore the history, need, evolution, key contributions, the current status, and future implications of this policy in detail. Speaking of the historical background, the demand for women's political participation in India is a recent phenomenon. It actually goes back to the time of freedom struggle. Leaders like Sarojini Naidu strongly advocated for equal political rights for women. Women actively participated in the independence movement, which created an expectation that they would also have equal role in independent India's governance. However, when the constitution was being framed, the members of the Constituent Assembly chose not to provide reservation for women. Their belief was democracy, which was based on equality and universal adult franchise, could naturally ensure fair representation. But over time, it became clear that this assumption did not hold true. The very early political or the policy developments. A major turning point came in 1974 with a landmark report by the Committee on the Status of Women in India. This report highlighted the declining political representation of women and recommended reservation as a corrective measure. In the 1980s, this has gained momentum. The National Perspective Plan suggested that at least 30% of seats in political institutions should be reserved for women. Grassroots Evolution 1992. The real breakthrough came with the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments in 1992 during the tenure of Rajiv Gandhi, whose earlier efforts laid the groundwork.
If India is to really move forward, we need full involvement of all our population, and that means we cannot and must not leave out half our population, which is women.
These amendments included 33% reservation for women in panchayats and municipalities. So this step has transformed the local governance in India. Today, millions of women participate in grassroots politics, and many states have increased this quota up to 50%. So this success became a strong argument for extending the reservation to higher legislatures as well. But why is there a need for women's reservation? Now we'll understand why reservation is considered necessary. The very first point is the persistent underrepresentation. Despite decades of democracy, women remain underrepresented in parliament and state assemblies. Even today, women make up only about 12 to 15% of the members in the parliament, which is far below their population share. So this imbalance clearly indicates that the equal opportunity alone is not enough. Structural and social barriers is the second point. Women face multiple obstacles in entering to the politics, which includes the patriarchal social norms, limited financial resources, lack of political networks, and also due to safety concerns. So these barriers prevent many capable women from contesting the elections. Therefore, reservation is necessary. And the third point is the better governance outcomes. So studies and the real-life experiences from local governance show that women leaders often prioritize education, healthcare, child welfare, social justice. So this leads to more inclusive and balanced policy making. And the next point is the proven success at the local levels. We already have the reservation at local levels. So the success of reservation in Panchayati Raj institutions show that women can lead effectively, political participation increases confidence and empowerment, governance becomes more responsive to the community needs. So, speaking of the evolution of the Women's Reservation Bill, the journey of Women's Reservation Bill has been long, complex, and often controversial. So, the key timeline included in the years 1996. The Women's Reservation Bill was first introduced in the Parliament. It faced strong opposition and was lapsed multiple times. In the year 2010, it was passed in the Rajya Sabha but not in the Lok Sabha. For years, political disagreements had stalled its progress. But the historic breakthrough has come in the year 2023. Finally, in 2023, the bill was passed and became a law as Nari, Shakti, Vandan, Abhinayam. So this marked a historic moment in Indian legislative history. So the key features of this act include 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha, state legislative assemblies, and includes reservation within the quota for SC and ST women. Seats will be rotated among the constituencies, and this provision is set for 15 years with a scope for extension. So the prominent personalities included in order to shape this movement were Sarojini Naidu, who is an early advocate of women's rights. Rajiv Gandhi has played a key role in the local level reservation, and Geeta Mukherjee has led the parliamentary committee supporting the bill, and Draupadi Murmu highlighted the ongoing underrepresentation. So their contributions have helped sustain the momentum of this reform. The present situation is that in Lok Sabha we have around 78 women MPs, and in Rajya Sabha we have around 24 MPs. So this brings a total representation to roughly about 12 to 13%. And in state assemblies, women's representation is even lower, often below 10%. So this highlights the urgency of this reform. But what is the implementation status of this? Although the law has been passed, but it is not yet implemented. Why is it so? Because it is linked to the next census. and a delimitation exercise, which is redrawing the constituencies.
Article 334 of the bill says the reservation shall come into effect only after delimitation has been undertaken. Delimitation will only be undertaken after the relevant figures for the next census have been published.
So this means that the reservation is expected to be completed around the 2029 general elections. But what are the concerns or the challenges based on this bill? So there is a delay in the implementation, and there is no provision for Rajya Sabha, and there is a demand for the OBC reservation within the women's quota, and the rotation system may affect the political continuity.
That makes this bill incomplete. I would like to have seen OBC reservation included in this bill.
What is the impact and future outlook? Once implemented, the reservation is expected to bring significant changes. Women's representation may rise to 33%. Political participation of women will increase. Policy making will become more inclusive. It may inspire more women to enter public life. Over the time, this could reshape India's political landscape. So reservation for women in legislatures is not just about numbers. It is about ensuring fairness, equality, and true democratic representation. India's journey has been gradual, from no reservation at independence to the grassroots empowerment in 1992 and to a historic constitutional amendment in 2023. However, the real test lies in its effective implementation. True democracy can only be achieved when women have an equal voice in shaping the nation's future. Let us move towards a future where Indian democracy fully represents its people, not just in principle, but in practice.